Arizona State gets its revenge after last season's upset loss to San Francisco, defeating the Dons this time around 72-61. Nick Borgia of Devil's Digest joined alongside publisher Hode Urbino. And Hode, similarly to last game, ASU felt like that they were in control for the majority of this game. However, in contrast, towards the end of the half, the second half at least, it kind of felt like a dogfight, even though ASU was leading the whole time.
Yeah, I agree with you, Nick. This definitely felt like a dogfight. I know it's kind of weird to say when a team does, like you said, lead ticker to ticker, and does actually win the game in double digits. But ASU started the game on an 8-0 run. The margin at halftime was exactly 8 points, and even with a double-digit victory in the end, this definitely was a game where San Francisco never went away. I think there maybe have been a little too many peaks and valleys for ASU's likings throughout the game. But once again, I think their defense showed up. The offense, did just enough despite, once again, just like last victory, struggles from the three-point range, struggles at the free throw line. But ultimately, ASU did just enough. And like I said, it's kind of weird to talk about an 8-0 run to begin the game to be the deciding factor, but when you look at the flow of the game and you take a close look at the box score, that's exactly what happened Sunday afternoon in Tempe.
So like you said, ASU on offense kind of just doing enough to get by. Interestingly, all 72 points from this team came from the starting five. The bench had zero production tonight.
Yeah, and I think that's definitely the anomaly, because we saw the freshman Braylon Green and Achille Watson putting him some good minutes, scoring points. Kamari Lands too. Maybe this is a game that both the absences of center Sean Phillips and forward Zane Mix with the three-point shooting was probably felt a little more today than it was in the other games that both of them missed. But ultimately, I think that ASU, and I know this sounds like a broken record, their offense is generated by their defense. 22 fast break points. If that's not a high under Bobby Hurley, I think it has to be right there in the top 5 best performances in that statistical category. So again, going back to my earlier point, the 3-point shot wasn't really falling. I mean, 5 out of 15 isn't a horrible day in the office, but not a great one too. Free throws again, just around the 50-60% mark. Not a great performance. But when they have the defense that they have to generate their offense and really get out in transition, that's really key for Arizona State. Really great games by Frankie Collins, who had 21 points, Jamiah Neal a double-double, 15 points, 11 rebounds. So you really had all your leaders come and perform at a high level, and sometimes that can really compensate for the lack of production of the bench that you alluded to. I also have to say about Bryant Salabange, the ASU forward, who is playing an increased role, who's playing increased minutes because of that injury to Sean Phillips, had his best game as a Sun Devil with 12 points, 5 rebounds. So that maybe ultimately really was the difference in the game and really allowed to compensate for the lack of production from the bench.
And the ASU defense continues to be solid, maybe not as many turnovers forced as the last game against Sam Houston State, but keeping them in this thing and holding the Dons, who were behind for the majority of the game. They had to shoot a lot of threes. They only made 5 threes in the entire game after shooting 30.
Yeah, and Bobby Hurley talked in the postgame about that, Nick, about the closeout was much better today than it was in previous games. Even in victories, ASU has had a real hard time, I feel, on average, defending the three-point shot. And I thought, to your point, they really did a much better, closing out. Frankie Collins even has 2 block shots, which he probably credited for him being better shape. So better shape, better vertical. I mean, I guess it does make sense. But again, going back to the rebounds, I mean, Frankie Collins having 8 rebounds, Jamiah Neal having 11 rebounds. It really almost was a copycat. Of the last game, where you have the guards really stepping up in the rebounding department because of the absence of Sean Phillips. Sure, I know the San Francisco center Jonathan Mabuko had a really easy time, especially when Salabanke and Alonzo Gaffney were not there in the game to really have his way in the paint. But aside from him, the perimeter shots really not falling for San Francisco. And this is a team that especially just from the 2-point range is really one of the better ones in the country, and somebody that ranked much higher in that metric compared to Arizona State. Really, if you look at the overall metric, the Ken Palm, a lot of us like to look at. San Francisco was ranked 66 coming into this contest. ASU was ranked at number 93. So you're thinking that if anything, San Francisco is favored, and maybe even somewhat of a heavy favorite coming into this game. But the Arizona State defense was definitely the difference today. And again, when you lead, ticker to ticker, but still find yourself in the dogfight, so the defense has to show up. Showed up big time for Arizona State. Another victory for the Sun Devils in this 3-game homestand.
All right, so they improved to 5-3 overall. Next up, they welcome SMU to Tempe to close out that homestand that you just mentioned, and that'll be on Wednesday of next week. Has your outlook of the team changed at all since we last discussed this team?
Yeah, I think ASU fans should feel pretty comfortable with what they're seeing so far. I mean, again, it really was just a copycat keys for victory from the last game to today. And as long as you have your leaders, Frankie Collins, Jermon Neal, and Alonzo Gaffney shooting in double digits, and then have Jose Perez. I didn't mention him earlier, maybe less of a factor today, but scored in double digits, did his game. And again, Bryant Salamange, with all the issues that ASU's having up front, for him to score in double digits, I think again a better production from the bench. Maybe they'll need that a little more against a team like SMU compared to a team like San Francisco. But overall, I think that this team is really gelling together. Both Frankie Collins and Brian Salamange in the post game talked about this team just feeling more and more comfortable at each and every game. Let's not forget, it's 10 newcomers on this team if you really consider Adam Miller, who we still haven't heard concerning his immediate eligibility for the NCAA, if it's a yeah or nay. But nonetheless, it just shows you that there's just so many new pieces on this team, and it was going to take time for everything to gel together. And maybe fans think it's a cliche. Maybe fans are kind of sick of hearing that. But now when you see the pieces really coming together for ASU, for players to feeling more comfortable with each other, that's when you start getting some wins in succession over here. So I think for Arizona State, as always, the defense is going to lead the way. But if they play defense at this level, I mean, not only in the non-conference games, but also in Pac-12 play, I mean, they definitely can register a lot more games than people think in the W column rather than the L column. But again, guys from the bench are going to have to step up. Players coming back healthy is definitely going to be essential for this ASU team. But right now, I think that they're in a good spot. Just keep on doing what you're doing at the same rate.
All right, Hodel, thank you as always for your insight, for continuous coverage of this Arizona State men's basketball team. Keep it locked in at DevilsDigest.com, and please drop a follow at Devils Digest on Twitter. That's Hodel Bino. My name's Nick Borgia. We appreciate you tuning in, and we will see you next time.